This time, I will try help you choose the better mountaineering boot for your circumstances. As many other items, there are so many of them. And the question is, what does more sense for your situation? The problem with this type of gear is getting expensive fast. And if in your case, like in mine, you work hard to eventually be able to buy any of them, then, well, you cannot afford to just buy all of them and figure out which one is best for your circumstances. I've gone through the process, and lucky me, it didn't cost that much. I was lucky. I was lucky because at a point in time, I stumbled upon Salomon X Ultra Mid. It was by chance, and to me, this was a life-changing event. Since that moment, and it is now almost 10 years, I only wear Salomon X Ultra Mid around the city. Of course, I wear them also on the mountain, but there you'll see in a moment. It is complicated. To me, Salomon X Ultra Mid is the best shoe for my feet. It helps me a lot. I feel fantastically well when wearing them. It is hard for myself to imagine a future where I will stop wearing them around the city. Since then, since discovering the Salomon X Ultra Mid, I kept adding, as you can see, based on circumstances and intended usage. I love Via Ferrata. I spend, it appears, at least during this time of my life, a lot of time on the mountain climbing Via Ferrata. With time, I learned how to read, skim, and scan information, because on internet you have a lot of information provided by the so-called influencers. They only speak good things or superficial things about items, and you end up buying maybe the wrong thing. For my case, when I started climbing Via Ferrata, I understood right away that the X Ultra Mid from Salomon will not help. Again, this is my go-to shoe. I always wear them in a variety of circumstances, starting from going to the office. Yes, I go to the office wearing this shoe, to walking around Paris for a long weekend, for example, or approaching the mountain. When I started my Via Ferrata adventure, I fast realized this is not the right shoe, and I ended up buying the TX4 from La Sportiva. The same happened with the Quest from Salomon. I bought them out of a need to get better performance compared to what this Salomon X Ultra Mid can do. I will explain in a moment. And of course, for the edge case scenarios, I have this La Sportiva shoe that will perform very well for its intended purpose. What differentiates them? Because for you to be able to buy the right boot, you need to know what differentiates them. And the main differentiator here is how flexible they are, how much protection they offer. It is how they differentiate themselves. This one here from La Sportiva, the TX4, is an approach shoe. What makes it an approach shoe is, you see, it is flexible, and the build here overall provides a lot of contact to the rock. This shoe is fantastic on Via Ferrata because it performs so close to a climbing shoe. It sticks. When you are on the rock, this shoe stays there, solid. The moment you find a hold, the moment I find a hold, I have the guarantee this shoe will not slip, and it holds me there, because on Via Ferrata, if you fall, then you get into trouble fast. I need a shoe that protects me as much possible. And this approach shoe from La Sportiva is very good precisely for these properties it has to stick to the ground. The moment you put this on, you are there, in control. It will be very hard for this to go sideways. Why is the X Ultra made from Salomon not the right shoe for Via Ferrata? Well, as you can see, this is below the ankle. And you need this because on Via Ferrata, for my case, for example, I need specialized angles to be able to position my ankle in such a way that then I can push myself up the wall, up the mountain. With this X Ultra, I don't have that flexibility. And also, unfortunately, this X Ultra, it doesn't provide the same stickiness. This one is way better, but it is made for that. You see, you have this piece of rubber here, and then also the sole. It is made to stick to the rock. This one here, they both have the same flexibility, you see. This one here is a shoe for hiking, easy hikes. Go there, walk on a trail, well-groomed trail, and you'll have no problems. As I told you, I use this shoe around the city as well because it is that good. It does wonders in easy environments. Of course, the higher you go, then, and by higher I mean the more elevation you gain and the less controllable the terrain becomes, more aggressive the environment becomes. This shoe, it no longer protects you that well. You see, it is soft, it is so flexible, it does very well, it is light, it does very well when you go on plain terrain. But if you start to approach more technical terrain, then this shoe will show its limitations. You can do it, you will get there to the end of it, but you are not as protected. To get more protection and be able to easily gain in elevation on unknown terrain, it is best if you wear a more powerful shoe. And you see this shoe here, it is way more rigid. It's not as flexible as this one here. And the idea of this Quest from Salomon, for example, but you have the same type of shoe from La Sportiva, Mammut, and so forth. The idea of this type of shoe is to protect your feet as much possible and also to give you more support. This being so rigid, it allows you to easily climb on difficult terrain. Also, if you climb on sharp rocks, for example, this one the rock might get through, like you'll feel it on your feet. Your feet will get tired eventually, and by comparison, way sooner. With this shoe, you get more protection to your feet, and it also helps you to perform better when it comes to climbing. Of course, being a more rigid shoe, it also provides better protection in case, for example, a rock falls. This is an approach shoe. You should wear this to go to the mountain. For my case, this is a perfect shoe for climbing a Via Ferrata, and it is how I use it. Then, when it comes to moving around up to easy hikes, I will always have this on. Also because this breathes better and it helps during summertime. If I know I will gain in elevation a lot, and also I'm aware that where I'm going, I have no clue what to expect, then I will go with this shoe, because I know in case something happens, will provide good protection and performs well enough to take me as high possible. These two are comparable up to a point. This one, during warm months of a year, can take you as high as this one. Where this type of shoe starts to fail is snow. The moment you have snow, this shoe no longer performs, and it is how this shoe comes into picture. They are all, well, these three here are mountaineering boots, but I will refer to them as shoe. What changes with this shoe is this is rigid. It doesn't move at all, zero, compared to this one where you have some flexibility. This shoe, it is so rigid, and by being so rigid, it helps you to fix yourself into the snow and then climb up the mountain, for example. Of course, it protects, it offers protection on multiple levels, but this is one of the advantages. With this shoe, it will be very hard to go up the mountain with deep snow. You can do it, but it will be very hard. The same as this shoe here. This one will do the job of this one eventually, but you are exposed. With this one, probably you'll get to the end of it, but you are exposed. This is the better shoe when you go at high altitude with heavy snow. Let me do something before I continue. I will introduce you to spikes. This is the name of this thing here. It is a spike from black diamond. And the idea of a spike is, I was saying a moment earlier that this shoe can help you on snow up to a point. These two, they are comparable. This one provides better protection. If you go up the mountain, or if you go out there, I use this around the city. If it happens that I have ice, then they both fail on ice. This does better on ice, but eventually will fail. To gain some protection, I use these spikes. And the idea of the spikes is you put them on. These spikes, for example, they fit identically on both boots. You fit them on, and now you are protected in case you cross an icy segment of a road. I've been in that situation a couple of times, and these spikes performed well. The idea of the spikes is to give you stability on ice. You can use them if you walk on snow as well, but the snow should only be 1 inch thick, no more. The deeper, the more snow you have, the less useful spikes are. You can use spikes with these two boots here. And what differentiates this boot is precisely this. This one can take you high up the mountain, but this one can take you on top of a mountain. And to get there, you will need some help eventually. They perform quite well when it comes to snow, but if you get into icy snow, and it will happen when you start mountaineering during winter times, then you need to fit on crampons. And this is how these two boots here start to differentiate themselves. This La Sportiva it is made to fit on crampons. The reason you can fit on crampons, it is because it is built to do that, and also the rigid sole. With this boot being so flexible, it is flexible enough to get out the crampons. Now, these crampons, you cannot fit this one on these crampons, but out there you have crampons where you can fit this boot on them. But still, the issue is being flexible might get out. This boot here, it is made for crampons. Let me show it to you. I need the left crampon. This is how you fit crampons. You see, they are built purposely to fit on crampons. And now let's do it. This was easy. And here I have it. I have a crampons on. Because it is such a rigid boot, will stay well on the crampons. There is no risk of it to getting out, and in this way you can dig into the icy snow and climb as high as as you want. Let me recapitulate and see if I was able to convey the message. As you can see, the higher you gain in elevation and the more complex the terrain becomes, the boot gets bulkier and then also higher above the ankle. Let me do something. I remembered I'm missing something. Socks. With these shoes, you should wear the proper sock. If you don't do it, then you are in big trouble. I've seen people not doing it, and I've seen them getting into trouble. These socks, you cannot see them because I'm putting them out of frame. They are made for mountaineering. What makes them special, they are not all of them made of wool 100%. It might be a mix. So let's not get that technical. The idea is you should go out there and buy for yourself a sock that is made for hiking and mountaineering. I use these socks, for example. They are named Bridgedale. I use them on Via Ferrata with this shoe here. And what makes these socks special is they are cushioned. When you try to feel them, you'll see they are cushioned. Same as the socks for skiing and snowboarding. Then they breathe very well. They transfer humidity very, very well. And then this type of socks, they go above the ankle. And the idea is your sock, when it gets into the boot, it should be above the boot, at least 2 fingers. Because if it is below like this, the boot will hurt your feet. I have different socks here. Smart Wool is a good manufacturer. Darn Tough, an even better manufacturer. They say these socks last forever. We will see about that. Based on circumstances, I put on any of them. I was saying earlier that if you stay and check, the higher you gain in elevation and the more complex the terrain becomes, the bulkier the boot gets. For approaching on Via Ferrata, a simple below the ankle approach shoe does very well. It doesn't provide protection against getting hit by rocks, for example, but it sticks to the rock, which for me it is very important when I climb a Via Ferrata. Then, when it comes to easy hikes, this type of shoe, which is light above the ankle, will very flexible, will do very, very well, because you walk on plain terrain and you need this flexibility. You need the shoe to be light. You want to be above the ankle, because in this way you don't risk twisting your ankle. And of course, being this type of shoe will provide support and protection and comfort for your feet. If you gain in elevation, you climb a mountain, you trek. By trekking, I mean you go on trails gravel trails or trails with rocks, uneven trails. Then you need a better shoe. This one here gets bulkier, bigger. By the way, they all are the same size, my size. And as you can see, they are the same size, but larger. Starting from my left to my right, they get bulkier and larger, even if at the end they are the same size. This shoe here becomes rigid, starts to get rigid and bulkier, and the overall build of this one, you can see it provides better protection. And the idea of this shoe is to go on a mountain and climb, walk on rocks, for example, and step on rocks and go through water and all these things. And when this happens, you know you are protected, because it goes high above the ankle, high enough to offer stability to your ankle. And then walking on all these rocks and this uneven terrain will provide the necessary comfort, because it is less flexible. This rigidity provides comfort and protection and also stability to your feet. You can walk with just this part of it on a rock, and you'll have even distribution of the weight for the whole leg. With this one here, if you step on a rock with this part, then it is so flexible that will put pressure on your leg. It is why this boot here, it is better, performs better in less controllable environments. But then, if you go this one can be used during summertime as well. Like what you do with this one, you can easily do with this one as well. The issue is this gets very heavy. It is rigid, and during summertime it will be extra hot inside it. It is why you should only use this shoe when you gain a lot in elevation and for more technical terrain. By this I mean with this shoe you should go out there during winter time, and in my opinion will guarantee all the protection you need, no matter the circumstances. To summarize, the more complex your mountaineering activity gets, the bulkier the shoe becomes. The more protection you want, the bulkier the shoe becomes. The more stability you need, again, the bulkier the shoe becomes. Bulkier and less flexible. With this shoe here, you get a lot of flexibility, and makes sense because, as I was saying, I use it on via ferrata and I need this type of flexibility. One deficiency of this shoe is being too flexible. Sometimes it happens that I need to support the whole weight of my body only on the tip of the shoe, and because it is so flexible, I have to make more effort. But again, this is an approach shoe, not a climbing shoe. So overall, it performs very, very well. I've seen many people wearing this particular shoe while climbing on the mountain. By climbing on the mountain, I mean hiking, going up and gaining a lot of elevation. I will not do that because it is below the ankle, and for my case, I want this protection. I know how good and useful it is. I will not expose myself by climbing a mountain with a below the ankle shoe. To do that, to climb a mountain, I will start with this one if it is an easy activity, and then if I go on activities where I know I will gain in elevation, and also it is unknown terrain for myself, for sure I will have this shoe with me. For my case, on the cold months of during the cold months of a year, where I expect ice, snow, and overall to be cold outside, I will use this shoe. It is rigid. It performs very well when it comes to climbing on snow. I can fit on the crampons. It keeps my feet warm. Overall, this, in my opinion, it is what one should use when mountaineering during winter time. Here comes the question: what should you choose for yourself? You have to understand your circumstances. If you want to buy a best overall performer, then my recommendation will be to go with this type of shoe. It is bulkier than this one, but more flexible than this one. And in my opinion, you can go with this on all the hikes and climbs possible, except the edge case scenarios. And by edge case scenarios, I will say it to my right, which is this shoe here. You can try go on snow with this one, but eventually you'll get into trouble. I was last winter walking with this shoe on a trail I know. You gain something like 800 or 900 meters in elevation, and snow was deep as maybe 2.5 meters in around me. But on the trail, snow was only half meter plus minus, and the trail was it is easy. I know that trail. I've been there a couple of times. I know what I always know what to expect there during winter time. And I approached that trail with this shoe, and it did wonders because you don't have to climb that much. You gain in elevation, but it is an easy slope. Because of that, this shoe performed fantastically well. So, to go back there, what should you buy? Maybe it makes more sense to invest a bit more and buy a more rigid shoe that is bulkier above the ankle and provides overall more control and stability. If you know that you yourself will never go on difficult hikes, then just go with this type of shoe here. It is light, it doesn't weigh anything, and it provides enough protection for you to go out there around the camp, from your car to an easy hike, walk a bit around, and be protected. If, like me, climb on Via Ferrata, then this shoe will do very well in terms of approaching the mountain and then exiting, and also while climbing up the mountain on the Via Ferrata. I've seen people wearing this boot during warm months of a year. I was wearing this boot and they were wearing this boot. To me, this is too much when it comes to summertime. In my case, I only use this during winter time. When winter comes, if I don't go on an easy hike, on a hike where I know what to expect, to then only take this shoe, for sure I will go with this one. And in the majority of the cases, I will take this one because it provides a lot of protection from any point of view. It is rare the circumstances where I go during winter times with this shoe out there, and usually it is more when we speak about leisure time. I go with people in their company, and because of that, I might know I will never get into something more difficult or more complex. Then I say, okay, I'll just take this one. If it happens that we go a bit up, then this will just do fine. But otherwise, when I go for serious climbs during winter time, for sure I will have this boot with me. Let's go back there. What should you choose for yourself? Well, if you want two of them, these two will be my recommendation, as long as you go also on the mountain during winter time, and you know you will walk on snow and icy snow and gain a lot in elevation. Otherwise, pick for yourself. If you go easy hikes approach, go with this one, and then this one in case you want more protection. For example, if you'll walk around Mont Blanc, you might easily go with this or this one as well. But if you want to make sure your feet feels well after the first 5 days, probably this shoe will be the better choice. If you want to go up on Mont Blanc, then you have to have this shoe. There is no chance in this world that you will make it with this shoe. If you'll ever make the mistake of climbing Mont Blanc with this shoe, you'll get yourself into big trouble. When it comes to climbing this type of mountains, then definitely you should have on this type of shoe. So you see, it starts, at least in my head, I hope it starts to make sense. You start with these two shoes here. They are almost identical, flexible, light. They only behave differently based on activity, but overall they are plus minus the same shoe. You can start with this one, and if you get serious about going up the mountain, then you might want to have this type of shoe because it provides more protection and comfort to your feet. And then if you go there in the extreme part of the mountaineering activities, based on circumstances, you should have this one as well. But this, even if I repeat myself, I've seen people using this during summertime, this cannot replace these two, for example. In my opinion, going with this shoe on a summer hike, it is way too much. It is heavy. It is hard on the feet. You can do it. If I recall well, I might have it done once, maybe. I don't remember. Maybe yes. And also, for example, I was climbing Gran Paradiso, and when I left the car, it was summer, well, late spring, but you get the idea. And I did it with this one. And by the time I reached 3,700 meters, this one was the boot I was wearing. So yes, it can do as well as this boot when it comes to warm, easy conditions. And then, of course, when I got above 4,000 meters or 3,700 meters, it made sense. This was supposed to be the boot to have on my feet. This was it. Don't forget your socks. They are very important. A good sock can do wonders when climbing. Then remember, you should have with you at least spikes, if not, based on circumstances, crampons. And the best way of figuring out if a boot or a shoe is the right for you, when you go there at the shop, it doesn't matter the manufacturer, try and see, is that flexible? Is this flexible? Or this rigid? This doesn't move at all. This one is also heavy. And if yes, then now you know what to buy for yourself. This is the first test you'll make to see how flexible it is. Based on flexibility, you should expect various degrees of protection.